Pittsburgh versus number 13 Miami. Saturday at noon Eastern on ACCN. Go to getaccn.com for instant access. The biggest names in sports are on ESPN Radio.
We are now joined by the Falcons president and CEO, Rich McKay.
Derek Fisher, a five-time NBA champion, LA Sparks head coach.
Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M head coach, joined us.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
What's up, Trojan?
What up? Right on, baby. Brett Favre is back with me.
All the pressure falls off on Aaron, but I think it's the best he's ever played.
The legendary Kareem Abdul-Jabbar joins us this morning.
What's happening, Cap?
How you doing, Keyshawn?
The biggest names in sports are on ESPN Radio.
1410 WING AM.
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
We are Dayton's ESPN radio station. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 WING AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the WING studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
Every day, huh? That's how we start this thing. Every day, just like that, huh? Back though. How you got to do it. All right, welcome in, everybody. Happy Friday. This week flew by just like that. And we got plenty to dive into here today. Week 2 of the high school football playoffs, the OHSAA state playoffs. We're excited about that. We're going to highlight some of the top matchups here in the Miami Valley. Byers and I, we got Trotwood tonight. Not doing it here on the station, but him and I are calling the Trotwood game tonight, Trotwood and Carroll. So we're excited about that matchup. Again, our first opportunity to get to see Trotwood this season. Again, it's been a wonky year for them. First, they were told there would be no football. Then they got to start the season real late, and then boom, like I think 2-3 weeks later, they're in the playoffs. And so that's that. A lot to get into coming up here in about just under 15 minutes. Jay Morrison with The Athletic. He covers the Cincinnati Bengals. He'll join us. We'll preview the Bengals and Colts matchup coming up on Sunday. Keep in mind, this is a matchup that I don't think we really thought was going to happen based on some of the news that was coming out. Again, the Colts had to shut down their practice facility, a couple false positives, and now it looks like everything is opened back up. But look, anything can change in a blink of an eye. I mean, look, the thing is, I think for the past 2 or 3 straight weeks, Kev, every weekend, every Saturday, and even on Sunday mornings, we've had breaking news of some positive test that's come out and really had to make the NFL kind of stay on their toes a bit. So I'm happy that we're back to talking about the Bengals and the Colts kicking off on Sunday, but we'll keep an eye on what's going on with that because so many things could change. About maybe an hour after the Colts announced that they were false positives, they're reopening the practice facility, that the game is back on, then the Patriots have another positive test, possibly 2. Some more details, or we're waiting on some more of those details to come out as soon as that gets here. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. All of this pans out, and you're starting to see more and more talk about, man, should the NFL stop and hit pause? No, look, they got rid of the Pro Bowl. So the Pro Bowl this year is, if you get named to the Pro Bowl, it's more of just like a, as an honor, congratulations, you're a Pro Bowl, which is how it should be. The Pro Bowl game itself is a waste of absolute time for everybody. Fans don't care.
When is the last time you actually watched a Pro Bowl?
I couldn't even tell you, to be honest with you. I couldn't even tell you. Half the time, the guys that make it, they're ending up like they're subs or they're, they're alternates. They're not even like actually voted in, and then they get to carry that name. They get to carry that Pro Bowl with them on their resume for the rest of their careers. How many Pro Bowls did Andy Dalton make just because he was right? That's what drives me nuts about that type of thing. Speaking of Andy Dalton, we'll get to see him make his first start for the Dallas Cowboys coming up this weekend as well. We will keep an eye on that. More NFL news. Le'Veon Bell last night, we knew it was between the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Dolphins. I didn't really see the Dolphins making a whole lot of sense, but the Chiefs, obviously, I mean, that kind of stood out. The Bills or the Chiefs really both made sense, but I think really good team in the Bills, Super Bowl team in the Chiefs. I think this made a lot of sense for them too. Again, they get Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the draft last year. Complement him with now Le'Veon Bell after not having the full running back core that they thought they were going to have. I don't know who Le'Veon Bell is anymore. I don't know. I'm excited to see what kind of impact he has on this team and what kind of impact they have on him.
I mean, if he's not the splash running back he used to be, he's still an option in the passing game. He was famous with the Pittsburgh Steelers for running those option routes out the backfield, getting them one-on-one with a linebacker. Depending on the leverage, he goes the other way in first down. Like, it was almost automatic. So a player of that caliber who can still do that, you think about a guy like Jason Witten. How long was he playing with the Dallas Cowboys? And people are like, how long is he going to play? Well, he's still, that number one guy on those option routes. And he's doing that same thing for the Raiders right now. So, when you guys have a player like that has that unique skill set that Le'Veon Bell does out of the backfield, they can play for a long time. It used to be called a third down back in the day, but, the way the game is now is a dual back situation. So those guys are in on second down.
All right, 457-9464. That's the number. We'll open up the hotline if you want to call in and jump in on the conversation. You could do that. Social media side of things, Twitter at 1410 Kinner, KINNER, at 1KevNash. Listen, stream, and now watch. You can watch the show. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show, like and follow along. You'll be able to watch the show every day. Real quick, before we get to our interview with Jay Morrison coming up here in just under 10 minutes, Kev. So the NFL on their Twitter page put out the playoff, a little kind of a playoff picture and kind of where we're at right now after week 5. And right now the 1 seed in the AFC would be the Titans. The 7 seed would be the Raiders going up against 2 seed, your Pittsburgh Steelers. The Browns and the Chiefs. How about that? The Chiefs would be a 3 seed right now if the playoffs started today. The Ravens, a 5 seed with the Bills being a 4 seed as far as that's concerned. So interesting.
The action. We're getting close, man.
Chiefs considered a 1 seed right now. If the season ended today, here's what the playoff picture looks like. The Cardinals would be in, second year Kyler Murray. Hopkins has been, he's the number 1 receiver in football right now in total yards. So, he's had a huge and immediate impact there as far as that goes. Green Bay, a 2 seed. The Bears would be in going up against the 3 seeded Saints. Adam Troutman, Dayton Flyers. Can't wait to watch him in his first playoff game this year, barring and how it happened between now and the end of the season with the Saints being looking a little bit older this year than usual. Then you got the Rams at the Cowboys. This is why I hate the seeding system of all this, because at the end of the day, you have a Dallas team that might make the playoffs with 7 wins. They might win the division with 7 wins, and they're going to be potentially hosting a playoff game. Again, it's week 5. If the playoffs started today, that's what it looks like. I highly doubt that's what the actual playoff picture is going to look like when it's all said and done, but I do believe a good chunk of those teams, they're all going to be in the mix of things by the time we get to the end of the year.
What was the real famous game that happened where it was Beast Mode game, where they were the higher seed, but they were playing the Saints, right? Yeah, the Saints were 11-5, and the Seahawks were 8-8, but they were the higher seed because they won their division. They had to go to Seattle, and they end up losing that game. That's a quirk in the system that needs to be fixed. I don't care, just because you're that division winner, a team with a better record shouldn't be going on the road to play you.
Well, more times than not. A division champion. Look, last year was a kind of an outlier. You don't really see teams winning your division that are this bad. In the NFC East, who is more traditionally one of the more respected divisions in football, that has not been the case over the last couple of years. Last year, we were having these same conversations about, should a team that is bad as, whoever was going to win that division last year, the Eagles and Cowboys, we think they're bad this year. We thought they were bad last year. They're really bad this year. And people were freaking out last year about the idea that the Eagles or the Cowboys could host a first-round playoff game, which ultimately ended up happening. And the sad thing is it's going to happen this year, whether we like it or not. The Washington football team could end up messing around and potentially winning this division. That's how questionable this division is at this point, because all teams look bad to start. The Cowboys have the most talent. The Eagles have the second most talent, and then it just dips down after that. So we'll keep an eye on that. David Shaw, again, we're live on Facebook. You can interact with us on there. David Shaw says, I predict that the Chiefs cut Bell by the end of November. Elaborate. What about Bell do you think is not going to work with the Chiefs? I think that this was the perfect scenario for him. And I think, he chased the money. He got the money, but he also got the Jets in return. And he actually ended up getting the full dollar amount he was chasing. So I think he's going to be very smart about the teams that he picks moving forward, even if it means not the dollar amount that he's aiming to get.
Absolutely. I think he's going to work well with the Chiefs. He's the perfect complement for them. A bigger back than Clyde Hilaire, hands, and just another weapon. And more importantly, we talk about he didn't get exactly what he wanted when he held out from Pittsburgh and ended up going to the Jets, but he did make $20-something million and only play 18 games for the Jets. So money isn't the big thing now. It's all right, well, I got paid from them. Now let me go get me a ring.
Shaw responds with bad in the locker room, just like the Steelers and Jets, going back to the holdout and everything. And just, just leaving 2 organizations not on the best of terms, I guess. But, players change as they go further into their career, and we'll see what happens moving forward. But again, hopping teams are already his third different team, but he was Christian McCaffrey before Christian McCaffrey. As far as the reason we even have these conversations about running backs holding out and wanting the money they do is because they're not just being used as running backs. They are being used outside of just your traditional run packages. So something to keep in mind as far as that is concerned as well. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. Let's preview the Colts and the Bengals coming up this Sunday. And as of earlier this afternoon, that was up in the air. But of course, the Colts released a statement that the false positives, of course, have led to them reopening their practice facility. And as of right now, everything is a go. David Shaw says, and he may just not be that good. Might be why the Jets weren't using him. I'm not going to get the Jets. They deserve zero benefit of the doubt. That organization deserves zero benefit of the doubt as far as I'm concerned. We'll see, though. But I mean, that's a lot of talent on that roster. There's a lot of talent before he got there. I think the rich just got richer as far as that's concerned. That could open up that offense. It's kind of sputtered the last couple of weeks. I'm not saying that the Chiefs aren't good. I'm just saying they've sputtered the last couple of weeks. We talked about that with Jason Fitz earlier in the week. His Raiders got a big win over the Chiefs this past weekend. But we'll see if this kind of wakes up that offense a little bit. All right, up next, Jay Morrison with The Athletic covers the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll preview the Bengals and the Colts on Sunday next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny, a high near 56. Tonight will also be clear, but with patchy frost, a low around 30. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 62. I'm Pete Spyback for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces around your home, office, or commercial property. Crack filling, asphalt sealing, and parking lot striping. Find us at culletsealcoating.com.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what a full court press is in basketball, right? Full defensive coverage with no holes. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. It runs on America's best networks, same as big carriers, but for a lot less. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, for up to 50% less than the big carriers. No contract, full coverage, 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Stugatz here. Advance Auto Parts is hooking you up big this October. Big as in $10,000 plus a virtual meet and greet with yours truly and the rest of the Dan Le Batard Show gang. Just text Le Batard to 77333 to enter. Then head to Advance Auto Parts for a diehard battery so you're ready for your victory lap after winning. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. Limit one entry per day. See advanceautoparts.com for details.
What are real people saying about Skechers Arch Fit footwear? Joe from Hilton Head says, I need arch support, and these shoes have it. Joe, Skechers Arch Fit don't just have arch support, they have podiatrist-certified arch support that was developed with over 20 years of data. Next, Pete from New York writes, great for walking. I stand a lot of work, and the Arch Fit keeps me comfortable. My feet don't feel tired at the end of the day. Okay, Pete gets it. He's walking, working, just living in Skechers Arch Fit. These shoes are great for virtually everybody. Find podiatrist-certified Skechers Arch Fit at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
T-Mobile for Business knows saving time and money is important for your business. That's why we're introducing Microsoft 365 on us, now included in our best business plans. With Office apps, Microsoft Teams, cloud storage, and more, Microsoft 365 on us gives you the tools you need to run your business. Stop by a T-Mobile store today. Qualifying plan required. Contact us to activate. One license per line, max 2 per account. Third-party terms apply. See T-Mobile.com for plan details.
Cleveland State women's basketball coach Chris Kilsmeyer, COVID survivor.
I was fatigued, just like every other basketball coach in March, but didn't think about getting sick. I woke up one night with the worst pains and chills I'd ever experienced. I tested positive for coronavirus and immediately self-quarantined. I got worse and worse and checked into the hospital. Multiple times I said, I don't want to die. We know what works. We know how to fight this, but it's going to take all of us doing the right thing every single day.
Sponsored by the Ohio Hospital Association.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Get room darkening vinyl and aluminum blinds, faux wood blinds, and cellular shades from Window Images trimmed to width for free. Right now, all window treatments from Window Images are 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards.
for only $6.49. Dip into your spicy side with a big helping of our spicy jumbo dippers, an individual side, a fluffy biscuit, and a regular drink, all at a great price. It's the easy way to fire up your taste buds. Get a home-style meal made easy with our spicy jumbo dippers combo for only $6.49. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Adding a leader you need right when you need them. That's how sports teams get ahead and how your business can too. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Fall is in the air. Fall projects are on the list, and the Home Depot is ready with more ways than ever to help. Use our mobile app to search, shop, and save. Choose flexible delivery options that bring everything you need right to your door. And if you need tools for a project, but not forever, you can rent them. You won't find a better toolbox anywhere else. Take on fall and fall projects now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Are you a survivor of sexual abuse while in the Boy Scouts? You may be entitled to compensation no matter how long ago the abuse happened, but your time to file a claim is limited. Call 800-993-2218. That's 800-993-2218 for more information. As a result of thousands of victims filing sexual abuse claims, the Boy Scouts have filed for bankruptcy protection, and the bankruptcy court has set November 16, 2020 as the deadline for abuse survivors to file a claim. If you are a survivor of sexual abuse while in the Boy Scouts, you may be entitled to compensation, no matter how long ago the abuse happened. Call for more information with one of our compassionate counselors today. Remember, the bankruptcy court has set November 16, 2020 as the deadline for abuse survivors to file a claim. Call 800-993-2218. That's 800-993-2218 today. Your call is completely anonymous. For more information on this claim, go to officialbsaclaims.com. Sponsored by Mark J. Byrne & Partners, LLP.
Try Canada Dry Bold Ginger with an extra kick of real ginger taste that blow the butterscotch out of your grandma's bowl. Canada Dry Bold Ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
Hey, who wants free money? Who are we kidding? We all do. It's the ESPN Dayton #We Want to Get Paid cash contest. Listen for the word that wins 18 times a day, starting at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Enter the keyword at wingam.com for your chance to win $1,000. It's the ESPN Dayton #We Want to Get Paid cash contest. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. So coming up this weekend, a lot of big games, including the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll get into that in our 3 and Out segment coming up here in just a little bit. We'll also go 3 and Out with the Cincinnati Bengals. Speaking of your Cincinnati Bengals, we have on with us now our guest for the hour right now. We have Jay Morrison, covers the Cincinnati Bengals for The Athletic. He's on with us now live. Jay, welcome in, sir. How are you?
Well, about a half hour ago, I just stumbled coming in from getting the mail and put my hand through the plate glass window on our front door. So other than that, I'm good.
And you have a big volleyball. It's a championship game tonight. What are you doing?
I'm fine. There's a little cut on my knuckle. But
see, you ain't no AJ Green. You know how to fight through it, right? That's how.
That's right. That's right.
No, we'll get to AJ Green in a moment. But so we really weren't sure what the status of this game was as of earlier this morning when I reached out to you about coming on. We got a clear picture now as far as what that is. The Colts come out and announce, hey, the practice facility is back open. A couple of false positives as far as that's concerned. But interesting nonetheless. I mean, now we can start focusing on that matchup. Just kind of right now heading into this, what's the biggest concern for the Bengals heading into this matchup with the Colts?
I think it's got to be that Colts defense. I mean, number one in DVOA, number one in total yards allowed, number one in pass yards allowed, number one in interceptions. It's going to be a completely different challenge from last week. The Ravens blitz more than anybody in the league. The Colts blitz next to last. So if Joe Burrow he's not going to see guys in his face. He's going to see guys blanketing his receivers. They're going to drop 7, and Joe's thrown 3 interceptions so far. 2 have been kind of fluky. This is going to be a real test for him to try to find and fit some balls through some tight windows in that secondary, as the Colts only bring 4 rushers, and they're 4 really good ones. They get good pressure on the quarterback even without the blitz.
1-3-1 to start. What's the morale? You cover this team. What's the morale of this team? I don't know. I know I don't want to say they expected to lose a lot of games, but I don't think they really expected to win a lot either when you draft a quarterback number 1 overall the year before. So with that being said, they're 1-3-1. What's the morale of this team? Do they feel like a 1-3-1 team? Do they feel like they're on the cusp of breaking through and start to winning some games coming up? What's the morale like right now?
Yeah, morale's really hard to gauge this year when we're not in the locker room and they're just trotting out a couple guys a day to talk on Zoom. But it does feel like the buzzword this week. Zach said it in the post game on Sunday, and you can tell he said it at the team meeting on Monday because every guy has said this is they're not going to panic. As bad as that loss was against Baltimore, they felt like they had some momentum going. They had back-to-back games that. Unbeaten, a tie and a win. Joe Burrow with 3 straight 300-yard games. As ugly as last week was, they're just kind of writing it off as an outlier, one bad game. The thing is, if they have another game like that Sunday, or even next week against Cleveland, or Tennessee after that, I mean, Zach Taylor really has to worry about losing this locker room because this team was supposed to be better this year. And if they're 1-3-1, as you mentioned, if they go to Baltimore or go to Indy and lose, they're 1-4-1, and you got Cleveland and then Tennessee and Pittsburgh. This could very easily be 1-6-1 at the break. And if a couple of those losses are non-competitive ones like last week was in Baltimore, I think guys are going to start looking around and saying, "Hey, do we have the right coach right now?"
You talked about the Colts defensive line only rushing 4 and dropping other guys in the coverage. One of those guys that will be dropping in the coverage is Darius Leonard, one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Do you know his status for this game?
I don't. We've got the Bengals injury report. I've not seen the Colts injury report. I know he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, and when we talked to Zach Kiefer, who covers the Colts for us, for The Athletic, he didn't seem encouraged that Darius was going to play. So that would be a big loss. He's really good against the run for them, as they all are. But he's a key piece in the middle of that defense, and that would be a little bit of a break if the Bengals could miss him.
You mentioned the injury updates for the Cincinnati Bengals. What's their health situation like heading into Sunday?
Really good, actually. Auden Tate is doubtful with a shoulder injury, though they're going to reassess that tomorrow. It doesn't sound like he's going to play, which means John Ross likely is going to return after being active the last 3 weeks. And then Mackenzie Alexander is the only other one listed. He's questionable with a hamstring. I expect him to play. I chart these things, and 8 of the last 9 players the Bengals have listed as questionable, which technically, mathematically, is a 50-50 chance of playing. 8 of the last 9 have actually been active and played. So and Zach sounded encouraged today, too, that Mackenzie Alexander is going to play. So he'll be back in the slot, and then Darius Phillips will move back out to one of the outside corners along with Will Jackson.
Jay, Justin and I had this conversation about A.J. Green yesterday and his actual trade value with the trade deadline right around the corner. If they potentially do trade A.J. Green, what do you think they could actually get for him?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's much trade value for him right now. I think people see the tape, and he looks a step slower. And that contract is so huge. I mean, he's making $18 million this year. You're basically looking, if they were to trade him today, the new team would have to pay him about $11 million for the rest of the year. And then the other thing is the Bengals just don't trade. Mm-hmm. They've had, in the last 35 years, they've had one in-season trade, and that was because Oakland blew their doors off with a first and a second round pick for Carson Palmer, who had retired. He wasn't even on the Bengals roster at the time. So, if they were going to trade, last year was the year. They were 0-8. They were trying to lose. Mm-hmm. Sort of, however you want to look at it, to get Joe Burrow, and they had pieces, they had offers from teams, and they turned down all offers, and they kept everybody. So I don't see anything happening with A.J. Green, and I do think that both A.J. and Zach are encouraged that this is going to turn around, that Joe Burrow and A.J. Green are going to develop a chemistry. And yes, A.J. Green may not look like the old A.J. Green, but he still has skills. They may be diminished in some regards, but he can still be a valuable part of this offense. They've just got to figure out a way to tap into it and get him involved.
Yeah, we talked about A.J. at his best was, the deep ball, and that splash play hasn't really been there for the Bengals this year. What do you attribute that to?
Well, one, he is a step slower, and two, it's just the lack of chemistry between him and Joe Burrow. AJ sat out most of training camp with the hamstring injury, and we saw it was there. There was a deep ball there in the opener against the Chargers, and Joe Burrow overthrew it. And he was kind of beating himself up, saying a high school quarterback could have made that throw.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the early in the game against Cleveland in week 2, the very first play, if I remember
yes.
right, a deep ball down the sideline, and Joe just kind of led him out of bounds a little bit. And then there was the one against the Jaguars game. I think it was the third play of the game, kind of a broken play, and they were on the same page. Joe pointed to AJ to go long, and he did, but Joe expected him to go out toward the pylon, and AJ ran it straight up the field, and it just, again, it was there, and they were just a tick off. So I don't think you're going to see him running 9 routes all over the place and catching a lot of deep balls, but I think there's spots they can still hit those.
Jay Morrison with us here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. Jay covers the Cincinnati Bengals for The Athletic. Jay, I want to go back to something you mentioned regarding, Zach Taylor and potentially losing the locker room. Look, we watched 16 years of Marvin Lewis, who, by the way, won a lot of games. I know on the way out, we talked about all the losing on the way out, but he won a lot of games, and he was a part of, turning them back into a playoff team. We know that Mike Brown and that front office are very patient when it comes to head coaches, but what do you think right now the status is of Zach Taylor moving forward? Because has not been a lot of winning, nor has there been a roster for him to win. But if he does lose that locker room, what are the chances that the front office moves on from Zach Taylor?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, because he's got still 2 more years left on his deal, and they're not going to pay a guy not to coach unless it's a disaster. If it's 1-15-1 or 2-14-1, or like we saw last year with the 2-14 or 2-13-1. I'm sorry, but I just don't see him doing it. And the other piece of that is that it's almost like this is year one. The whole thing was to bring him in and reboot this roster. And they had a lot of guys last year they knew they wanted to get rid of. They've gotten rid of most of them. You start over with the rookie quarterback. I mean, in some regards, it almost feels like you can't erase the 2-14 last year, but it almost feels like this is where the Zach Taylor era truly begins, is this year. So a lot of it's going to depend on the second half of this season. I mentioned how brutal this schedule is coming up. It gets a lot easier the second half of the season. You've got the Giants, you got the Dolphins, you got the Redskins, you got some winnable games, and if they can build some momentum, even if they have a 5-11 or 5-10-1, that stupid tie messes me up.
Yes,
if they have a record where they win 5 or 6 games, but they build momentum as the season goes on, I think you're going to see this team have a chance to really open that playoff window in 2021. And I don't think we're going to see Mike Brown move on from Zach Taylor.
Even if Bieniemy is out, I mean, he is out there. He's going to be out there. There was no chance of that being revisited in your eyes.
No, I mean, they had their shot. They didn't take him a couple years ago. I can't imagine that they would take him. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, he won a Super Bowl, but he's not done anything beyond. His resume is not that much stronger. He hasn't had the head coaching experience. Zach didn't have it either. But they really liked what they saw and heard from Zach in person in the interview, and none of that's changed. He's still the win-loss record isn't that great, but the way he runs things and handles things, and the fact that last year he didn't lose that locker room when the season went off the rails win-loss wise, I think they feel like they've got something here, and they're going to let it play out.
All right, well, good stuff, Jay. It's been a while. I'm glad we were able to catch up. Thank you for calling in and toughing it out. I can't believe. So you said you cut your hand. How bad is it?
The door is a mess. There's a big hole in our door now, but my hand's fine. It's just a little cut on my nut.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're fine. Thank you for hanging out with us today. You have a great weekend.
All right. You guys too.
Thanks. All right. That was Jay Morrison, covers the Cincinnati Bengals for The Athletic. Good stuff there. Again, Bengals and Colts kicking off on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And that's a matchup that we weren't sure what the status of that was going to be due to a couple positive tests from the Colts side, which really I thought tied into the Browns, situation because OBJ missed practice yesterday due to health reasons. They would not, talk, or they would not expand on what those health reasons could be. People were wondering if it was COVID related. And then I thought everyone was trying to connect the dots today. Oh, the Colts had some positive tests. OBJ was out for the Browns. Bengals and Colts this weekend might not happen. So, again, a lot changed from about 9, 10 a.m. this morning as far as that is concerned. So, interesting stuff there. A couple big takeaways from that conversation with Jay, and we'll have that interview up for you later on in the website at wingam.com. You can also subscribe and download the Justin Kinner Show in your Apple iTunes, Google Play Store. So go and check that out. But Zach Taylor doesn't sound like he's going anywhere anytime soon. And I don't know how many – I really don't hear fans clamoring for his job anyway, so I'm not trying to, increase the pressure on that. But I do find it odd, though, that you can go 2 years and only win – I mean, look, by the end of this season, let's say that he wins 5. That would put him at 7 total wins in 2 years. Let's say next year you maybe have a win increase to about 9 games. So now you've only won 16 games in 3 years. That's where I start looking at this big picture and saying I just don't see him being the head coach of this team when they reach that point where there's expectations. And you really don't see that. You rarely see it. Where when you draft a quarterback high, I can't think of the last time, and I ask this all the time, I can't think of a last time where a team was really, really bad in rebuilding. They draft a quarterback with the number 1 overall pick, and then that coach gets to coach them through the rebuilding process. Because when you're rebuilding, there's a lot of losing. And when there's a lot of losing, the finger always gets pointed at the coach. And the way to kind of re-energize a fan base is bringing in a new coach with a new vision, a new system. And that's what we got here as far as that's concerned. So that's why I don't see a scenario that Zach Taylor is the head coach of this team I can't say past this year because Mike Brown's different than most owners in football. Very patient, very stubborn, doesn't like to admit that he's wrong. So I guess that's why you should expect to see Zach Taylor along with the same offensive line again next year. I have no clue. I can't help myself. I just don't get it as far as that's concerned. The other thing, I've yet to hear anyone out there have anything, and I don't mean this, it's going to sound real negative, but AJ Green. It just sounds like that's just not working. It's not going to work. I mean, I know Zach Taylor comes out and says, hey, that he's confident that there's something still there. Well, what is that something? And whatever that something is, it's not worth the $18 million or $16 million or whatever it is he's being paid to be here. So that has to be figured out as far as I'm concerned.
For sure, man, because you're paying him a lot of money this season and you're expecting some return on your investment. Yes, he was hurt for a year and a half, and, we have our jokes about – I couldn't even get it out.
It was more than that.
You just
it was way more than that. Just saying.
How long was it, Kenner?
A little over a year and a half.
Okay. Well,
2 games in or whatever.
2 years. We'll
2 years. I could handle 2 years.
Okay, so he missed 2 seasons basically.
Damn welcome stadium.
And the Bengals want to return on their investment, and obviously they're not going to get that because the trade market isn't there for him. So you're like, well, we got to keep him. We'll get him back in shape, get him time in with the young quarterback. Something's got to happen. Something's got to turn in AJ's favor to help the situation for himself and the team.
All right, 457-9464. That's the number to call in and join in on the conversation. As far as the Colts and the Bengals, they kick off at 1 o'clock coming up on Sunday. Colts 3-2, Bengals 1-3-1. And the Colts are a 7.5-point favorite for their matchup coming up this weekend. So we got that. We're going to talk Browns and Steelers again coming up around the corner. Pittsburgh back to a 3.5-point favorite as they welcome in the Cleveland Browns. It's been 16 straight games that the Pittsburgh Steelers have won at Heinz Field against the Cleveland Browns. So the Browns are looking to end that streak as far as that is concerned. But 457-9464, Kev, who we got?
We got Bob.
Bob, welcome in, Bob. How are you, sir?
All right, man. Hey, don't be trying to make us the Cleveland Browns. We don't fire coaches after 2 years. In fact, I'm going to ask you guys, when is the last, other than the Cleveland, who has fired a coach after 2 years?
Say that one more time.
Other than the Browns, who has fired a coach after 2 years in the NFL?
I don't have that answer right off the top of my head.
Yeah, you know why? Jeff? There is no answer. It's just the Browns. You got to keep continuity. I'll say this.
Hey, you know what? Eventually they found their coach. They're 4-1. They're 4-1. I think no, I know what you're saying. Keep going. Finish your point.
Yeah. And I think you have, just like Jay mentioned, first of all, last year, I don't even count last year because of the fact that Zach, the whole situation, Zach coming in off a Super Bowl, scrounging to grab whoever he could get. And I think they look at that situation. Then you look at this situation, with COVID. You've had no practices, none of the preseason. So you got to let that situation play out. there are things that I think Zach is learning that I don't like. I think he has to learn. But then by the same token, as far as, just like Jay was saying, keeping the locker room intact, things of that nature, I don't think, especially with a young quarterback, you don't want to do what they did to Baker Mayfield, four coaches, 10 offensive coordinators, and the guy's only been playing for 3 years. I mean, you just can't do that. And you have to have some kind of continuity on that situation. So next year, I would say next year is more of a better gauge. Just like I said yesterday, I'm not even looking at wins and losses so much for the Bengals this year because, again, he's still rebuilding that roster. If they can get to like 5 wins or something like that, that's good. I think next year is more of the factor for Zach Taylor, not after this year.
My only complaint, and I say this I'm trying to say this as least combatively as possible. You still have to be critical of when an organization spends $160 million in the offseason and the team does not look really that much different. I mean, defensively, I guess their numbers are better, but again, there was only one place that the numbers can go after where the defense has been the last couple of years. But again, I know I sound like a broken record, but in that offensive line, it just still to this day just gets me that we are still talking about that offensive line. And this isn't just because of Joe Burrow. This goes back to 2, 3, 4 years ago. Since the last time they were in the playoffs, that offensive line steadily got worse and worse. And it all goes back to, of course, when Whitworth left too.
Yeah, I agree. But, we've had this conversation.
Yep.
They tried. It just didn't work. The Cordy Glenn situation, they tried. They drafted a guy, Oboyu and Fisher, a few years ago. They tried. Billy Price, they tried. All these guys were rated high by everybody. But, just like the NFL, just because you look good in college doesn't mean that you can't bust.
But you can argue that they're not doing whatever. They're not doing something right with these guys when they get there. Because you're right, they were rated high. A lot of teams wanted them, but there comes a certain point where you got to say, okay, you're taking a lot of guys that a lot of teams would have taken, but that means it sounds like it's a developmental issue internally, which we all know the internal issues with that organization anyways. But having a conversation, not combatively, just telling you.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what, Justin, I would agree with that if those guys that went to other teams and they're still playing. They're not even in the league. Neither one of those guys. So everybody was wrong on them. So I think, a lot of that stuff has to come down to your heart, too. One huge mistake, I say the Bengals, then I'll let you go. This one huge mistake they made this offseason that the Browns capitalized on was getting Callahan. And I know my problem with the Bengals is Turner. I'm not sold on that guy. And you've already got Callahan's son, who's the Bengals offensive coordinator. Why wouldn't you have went and got his dad, who's one of the best offensive line coaches? Look at the Browns' offensive line because of it. So I'm going to let you go with that, but that's a huge mistake I think they made all season.
Hey, Bob, we'll
talk to you later.
You have a great weekend, man. Thank you. With that being said, I still think there's a lot to say. And real quick, I want to get to Doug Toby's points here because he brings up a good point as well. He says that once again, the Bengals spent a lot of money on 2 veteran linemen. They did not spend a lot of money. They added linemen, but again, it's always the bottom of the barrel guys. Like there was better offensive linemen out there that they did not go after. We talked about that during the preseason. I'm not going to let or forget just how bad this team messed up with not addressing that offensive line. Like, I don't care. You were relying. I mean, if your goal is, we got a rookie this year. If you're trying to fix all your problems with the rookie, that's just not going to work. And it's not working. It's not working. Shaw says they are not coaching them correctly as far as that goes. And then, of course, Shaw goes on to list the Raiders, the Lions, the Bills, the Jets, all teams who fired coaches after 2 years. So there's that.
Well, the Browns fixed part of their offensive line problems with a rookie.
But again, that offensive line they had weaknesses in the line that wasn't the worst. Again, they went out and got Conklin. That was the biggest thing. And again, that's why Bengals fans are upset when you look at the fact that, that offensive line coach that we were just talking about is such a big deal, turning things around over there as well. And you're right. But you can't just rely on a rookie to come in and turn everything around. They also went out and got Conklin, a real offensive line, but not guys at the bottom of the scrap heap that you're hoping turn into something. That's
who is the from Alabama, right? Willis, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Who do we got? 457. DoorDash Ray.
DoorDash Ray probably had an order.
Oh, did he go bye-bye?
But we got Ryan, though.
Ryan, you're up, sir. How are you?
Afternoon, guys. How are you guys?
Good.
Hey, look, first-time caller. I listen to you occasionally, and Bengals fans by trade, right? And I follow both teams, but when you look at it, and I listen to a lot of sports, and you talked about, the Browns and your Mayfield, and I know you're a Browns fan, but the Bengals, you mentioned moves, and I would agree with you on the offensive line, but they made 7 major free agent moves this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Reeder, Bell, Alexander, Wayne, Philo, Bynes, and Daniels. All of those. The most they've spent free agency in a long time. And as you know, typically they're not spenders in free agency. They built through the draft. Of those 5 that they spent money on, at least one game has been missed by each, and 4 of them are now on the newly formatted IR. So, their biggest splash being not Mike Daniels, I'm sorry, Reeder from the Texans. I mean, I don't know. I think they'll build on it. I think in the NFL, your ceiling is your quarterback. And with what we got, a quarterback, they can build around him in the draft and spend again on free agency on the offensive line. And Jonah Williams, for all intents and purposes, their pick 2 years ago, their first-round pick out of Alabama, is coming on. He struggled a little bit, but he missed all of last year, and this is his first year. So I don't mind the direction. I think there's some pieces in place for them to build on.
Fair enough. And you know what? Regardless of what guys we've talked about on the IR, the most difficult position to land is quarterback. And no matter what I say, no matter how annoying I am when it comes to the Bengals, I cannot question the pick that they made at quarterback. And that's the most important piece. And as long as you have that, there should be tons of optimism moving forward. So I'll give you that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's just what you look at, right? Your ceiling's your quarterback. And I said the same thing on the Browns. I'm not anti-Cleveland. I'm more anti-Pittsburgh and Baltimore than Cleveland. But I look at your situation there, and I find it interesting. I think, your formula to win there is to run the football and not put it in Mayfield's hands. I mean, if he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, I would be shocked. But
I'll give you that. That's been my biggest worry all along, is that when you as an offense are working so hard to keep the ball out of your quarterback's hands, my concern is that he's not your quarterback. And the one thing about the Bengals with Joe Burrow is that as a rookie, they have not once felt that, man, we do not trust putting the ball in his hand. And that's the one thing I'll give Joe Burrow. But the Browns felt like that about Baker. Baker looks night and day different now than he did his rookie year. The Browns had confidence in Baker to throw the ball his rookie year the way the Bengals do with Joe Burrow, and look how different he looks now. So I'm with you on that. I'm not defending Baker there at all. In fact, them talking about him potentially being hurt this weekend, and as far as that goes, my concern is if he misses a game and Case Keenum comes in, I don't know what that does for Baker Mayfield. I'm not saying he's done forever, but Case Keenum comes in and moves that ball and the offense opens up a bit. That could be a problem for Baker if that's a situation that transpires this weekend against Pittsburgh.
Well, Cleveland made a great decision in hiring Kevin Stefanski, and again, not anti-Cleveland. Great hire out of the Mike Zimmer camp. As a Bengals fan, I would have loved to have seen Mike Zimmer get a shot in Cincinnati before they let him depart. He's a great football coach up there. Will make a good thing, and I don't think they're going to they're not going to have a quarterback controversy. Mayfield, who they'll roll with, but they did sign, your point, Keenum to a 3-year, $18 million contract. There's not too many backup quarterbacks in the NFL making $6 million a year. Andy Dalton makes half that in Dallas. So when you're talking about it, they invested in Keenum for a reason.
Yep, that's the good stuff. But again, as you've seen in Dallas, though, there's no better value in the league that we never talk about more than a backup quarterback. And that's why the Cowboys, at least offensively, might be okay with Dalton. The Browns might be okay with Keenum if it's something like that happens to them. But hey, Ryan, I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much.
You got it. Have a great day, guys.
Take care. 457-9464. All right, that's the number to call in. We're live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search The Justin Kinner Show, and you can chime in there. We'll read your responses on the air whenever we come back. 457-9464 one more time. Did we get DoorDash Ray back?
DoorDash Ray is back.
Tell him he's going to have to wait, though. He was impatient. He dropped, so now we'll bring him on.
We got DoorDash Ray and Brian on hold.
All right, Brian, DoorDash Ray, you guys are next. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Report 3.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Ohio, wake up to what our state lawmakers are doing. The majority focuses on the former speaker's alleged bribery, virtually ignoring how COVID-19 impacts our jobs, health, schools, and business, even cutting funds for schools and healthcare while keeping tax breaks for millionaires. We can do better. I'm a problem solver who will fight for working families. My name is Erin Rosiello, candidate for Ohio State House District 62, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Erin Rosiello, at your service.
Give your sweetie the priceless gold box this year for Sweetest Day, or get a special pack box of those favorite pieces. Don't wait until the last minute. Sweetest Day is October 17th, so come and visit us. Shop online at EstherPrice.com or contact any of the Esther Price Candy's 7 locations to place a curbside order for pickup. It only takes a minute to make that special someone smile when they see their gold box of their favorites. So don't forget and place your order today.
We saved serious cash with our Progressive Home and Auto Bundle and used the money to buy a new boat.
Who's ready to water ski?
This is not a real testimonial. Sure, customers can save big money with Progressive, but not enough for a new boat. They'll probably spend it on rent or gas money or maybe one of those little plastic wading pools for the yard.
Ahoy there!
Is what the captain might say on the toy boat in your wading pool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities, or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Ask for it at Advanced Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian, but thought it would be too difficult and time-consuming? Then go to Babbel.com and try it for free. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. In 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then, sentences gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel was created by language experts who use the spaced repetition method to help you learn quickly and remember what you learned. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Babbel. Language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the Works package and the Double Take Tire specials. Call today for your appointment. 937-419-8473 or 1-800-700-0050. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
Interested in helping Dayton students succeed? Don't miss the Dayton Public Schools Drive-Through Career Fair on Thursday, October 22nd between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at Welcome Stadium. Masks are required. See the full list of positions and apply now at DaytonPublic.com.
O'Reilly. It's Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. That means you can get up to a $25 gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of your Superstart battery. Return power, performance, and reliability to your car, truck, motorcycle, and more with Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Ready to take on that painting project? Ask Sherwin-Williams and get 40% off paints and stains with sale prices starting at $23.09 October 16th through 19th. With 40% off our exceptional paints and stains, you can give some color love to your bathroom, living room, or every room in your home. Shop in store or order online for curbside pickup. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now.
Touchdown! Incredible!
Good luck. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome in. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. And, of course, I made the mistake of trying to talk Bengals and getting Bengals fans all upset and getting them all up in their feels. I mean, when the team's bad and you tell a fan base that their team's bad, they get upset. And I'm hearing a lot of excuses. I'm hearing a lot of, this guy's on the IR, as you always say.
Injuries are part of the game.
Injuries are part of the game. And I'm not really seeing a whole lot of a different looking Bengals team than what we've seen for years now. Like, again, I'm over. I'm done. No, it is what it is. I'm not going to keep piling on, but as I'm sitting there during the break, I'm kind of going back and listening to some of the excuses. I'm like, well, listen, I get it. I'm not expecting this team to be a Super Bowl team, but Bengals fans who don't like me right now, keep in mind, Kev, I predicted them after they made all those moves in the offseason, knowing they were going to get Joe Burrow, assuming and by the way, I said with the changes they made on defense, them just being half better than last year is enough for them to win significantly more games in 2020. I said, but the reason they won't win that many games in 2020 is because that offensive line. I got blown up in the offseason because I was taught, I don't coach. I know nothing about football. I need to trust what the coaches and since how long has this kid been doing this that I need to trust what he's saying? And this was the offensive line that front office said, hey, we're so confident in what this group is doing, we're going to keep rolling with them. I mean, maybe the Suafilo guy makes a difference. I don't know. Maybe he does. But if you think that this offensive line is just one guy off the IR away from all of a sudden it being anything, I mean, that Suafilo coming back isn't going to keep Bobby Hart from stepping foot on that offensive line. All right. I mean, Suafilo isn't going to make Michael Jordan all of a sudden significantly better. It is what it is. Trey Hopkins, he's been a Band-Aid for the big bust that Billy Price was. And I have a hard time believing it. There comes a certain point where when you have so many busts in the draft, it's not just that, those players just ended up being bums. Like, teams play a role in that as well.
100%.
Because I see organizations like the Steelers, and I can't stand the Steelers, but I can at least acknowledge the fact that they know how to take guys and develop guys and turn guys into stars. Guys that weren't big-time superstars in college all of a sudden come to the NFL, and they're household names. Like, good for them. There are good organizations out there, and I'm just going to put an end to this conversation. Cleveland's not one of those organizations. They are not a good organization. When people have the habit of, if I criticize their team, they want to come back with, what about Cleveland? What about Cleveland? Cleveland's a joke of an organization too. And it is what it is. I mean, me knocking the Bengals and calling them out on their flaws isn't me. Like, what they hear when I say that, Kev, is, the Browns are the best thing ever. The Browns know the Browns are a great organization. I will say this, though, the Browns should give Bengals hope, because the Bengals now have looked at an organization that's bad and now knows what it's like to look at a bad organization that has made some right decisions over the last couple of years. They haven't made all the right decisions. They underachieved last year, but they made enough of the right decisions to put them in a position where, hey, at 4-1, we're talking about a significant Browns and Steelers game coming up on Sunday. And the most interesting thing about the Colts and Bengals was the fact that it might have gotten canceled. So spare me.
Something we need to start looking at is mock drafts. We got to start keeping an eye on mock drafts. I'm looking at one right now. Actually has the Bengals picking 12th in the upcoming draft. And they have them picking Michigan offensive tackle Jalen Mayfield. We remember him because everybody was screaming his name left and right last year against the Buckeyes, talking about he did a great job against Chase when they played the Buckeyes, but people forget he was getting chipped and held and everything like that. But he is a good offensive tackle. That would help out the Bengals. So obviously the Bengals will be drafting the offensive lineman in the first round.
Stop drafting offensive linemen. Go, and by the way, you're not wrong. If you need, yes, I get it. But that's for an organization.
You just don't trust it.
No, I don't trust them drafting anymore. Go. I like that they went and got the Suafilo kid or guy, whatever. Do that. The Browns went and got Conklin. Like, go make moves like that. Like, you have Joe Burrow. Why are you going to sit Joe Burrow behind a pocket with rookie offensive linemen, hoping that the rookie offensive linemen protect your investment? I'm tired of that. Enough of that.
But I mean, that goes back to what I say about organizations and leadership and everything like that. Because if the Steelers were to make this pick, you'd be like, see, they didn't got somebody that's going to be there like for 15 years, just blocking his butt off and da-da-da. But since it's the Bengals, you just don't trust it off the rip. And I mean, I can't knock you for it. I mean,
I didn't like the Browns. Now, again, it ended up working out with the Browns taking an offensive lineman in this past draft, but I was a little weary about it too. I was like, hey, and which, by the way, they ended up doing both. They went and got Conklin, and they drafted the kid from Alabama. Great. Yes. And it worked out. More power to you. I still wasn't comfortable with it. And I'm not comfortable with, I mean, but that's the thing. So if this year's Jonah Williams' rookie year, next year will be only his second year in the league. How long do you have Bobby Hart still for? I mean, the bottom line, they actually gave that dude a decent amount of money. You got to stop putting offensive linemen fresh out of the draft up there. That's all we've been talking about for 5 years now is rookie offensive linemen. Enough of that. Go get veterans. Anyways, okay. Let's go back to the phones. We got DoorDash Ray. DoorDash Ray, you there? Oh, man, he must have had another order. Let's go to Brian. Brian, what's up, sir?
Hey, Justin. How you doing?
Good. Yourself?
Good. Thank you. Okay, you keep saying that the Bengals didn't address their offensive line, but they did. And one of their signings was the right guard, and he got hurt. I mean, he still addressed it. And you had Jonah Williams, who was a top-rated tackle last year, coming in. So they addressed two-fifths of the offensive line. And they drafted an offensive tackle who, they didn't play him as a rookie, of course, right now. So, but I mean, they're still developing him. So maybe you don't know, but they did address their offensive line.
Well, every year a team will add pieces to their weaknesses, but they're not adding the right ones. You have a quarterback that you just drafted that everyone is gung-ho about that is like, oh, that's the face of our franchise moving forward. But yet he's been hit and sacked and just tortured more than any other quarterback in the NFL right now. And it's not like it was a secret that this offensive line was straight garbage the last couple of years. So I know what you're saying, but you can't just take chances on the offensive line. You got to go get for sure things. And, but maybe if Zuafilo doesn't go on the injured reserve, how much better does he make this offensive line? Maybe Joe Burrow's hit 2 times less than he's already been. I don't know how much better he makes that line. Like they have a lot of holes on that line. It's not just one.
I know they've got holes, but Jonah Williams is playing good.
I mean, he's gotten better, but again, as a rookie, you're going to get better. But do you see my point about if you have an average offensive line and you go draft one and put one in there and hope that they develop fine, but when you got an offensive line as bad as this and you have a big-time investment in Joe Burrow, that should have just been more of a priority. And just adding Su'a-Filo and taking a guy in the first round of the draft isn't, to me, that's a lot of gambling still on your investment in Joe Burrow.
I think Jonah Williams is doing good, and I really think Michael Jordan's not playing too bad at left guard. And I think it's the right side. I mean, you're putting chumps next to our chump.
I was trying not to laugh.
Well played, sir. Well played. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I am excited about this week. We had Jay Morrison on earlier, and he talked about, look, the Colts, they're not a big blitzing team. They're not going to blitz the quarterback. And hopefully this is a week where we kind of get to at least breathe a little bit and watch Joe Burrow have time in the pocket and get to enjoy his playmaking ability, because we couldn't do that last week.
And also a little bit of the offensive line's problem is, how many offensive lines are going to hold up against the Chargers, the Eagles, and the Ravens? I mean, that's some pretty darn good pass rush there.
No, absolutely. I mean, a lot of these teams. I mean, you had the Jaguars. Of course, the Jaguars was the weaker bunch of all those guys as far as pass rush is concerned. But we watched against the Jaguars when Burrow has time in the pocket. He looks like him. He doesn't even look like a rookie quarterback. He looks like a seasoned vet. So, the Colts, very good defense. I think Joe Burrow is going to be challenged outside of the Ravens. He's going to be challenged again this time with a good secondary. The Colts are going to really create some different schemes for him that are going to give him a headache. But at least he's going to have time to kind of read some of these and not just be running for his life every single play. So I think I'm excited to watch it.
I'd almost like him to go to 5 wide just to let Burrow get back in the shotgun so he can, do the quick passes so the guys don't have a chance to get to him. I mean, you might counter some of these blitzes.
No, you're right. And again, they've done a better job of getting Joe Mixon involved the last couple of weeks as well. And they're definitely going to have to rely on him against the Colts. But hey, I'm out of time. I appreciate you calling. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Have a good weekend. All right. Do we got DoorDash Ray back?
I think I hung up on DoorDash Ray that time. First time was his fault. This time it was my fault. My fault, DoorDash Ray.
DoorDash Ray, give him a bad DoorDash review.
No.
Yep. Give him that review. That bad review.
When the last time you been out in the streets?
It's been a while. I got a wedding I'm planning on. Trust me, I'm going to have to get back on these DoorDash streets. I promise you that much. Hey, look at that. It's 4. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, look, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We've been expecting you. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Back to work at that job, the one you realized isn't for you? Well, that's if you're lucky, right? Make your move. You can start a new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months from the comfort of your own home, even if you have zero computer experience. Take control of your future now. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Live online classes meet just twice a week. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
How about we grab a picnic and hang out by the lake?
How about we go for a walk?
How about we play tennis? Looking for people who just want to do something fun? Find them on Our Time, the #1 site made for singles over 50. It's easy to use and easy to find people who love doing the same things you do. From gardening to wine tasting to just going for a bike ride. Because even doing the simple things are better together. Start for free today on ourtime.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's opponents on Man versus Train. At the crossing, we have Rick, a 175-pound frustrated man who's running late for work. And on the tracks, we have Bull, a 1 million-pound freight train that takes a mile to stop. Let's see who comes out on top.
You can't beat a train, so don't try. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
Napa know-how.
Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping and over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $35 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
Roosters would like to thank all of our loyal guests and all the loyal Buckeye fans for your support this year. Because of you, we've been able to stay open and keep our award-winning team employed. Our team members go above and beyond and are dedicated to providing you and your family the safest dining experience possible while still providing a fun, casual atmosphere to relax, laugh, and enjoy our award-winning food. Roosters, the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. No-touch freight, home daily lanes. Earn up to $270 per day, $2,000 sign-on bonus. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Apply online, CordellTransportation.com.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Ask Sherwin-Williams and save 40% on paints and stains October 16th through 19th. Shop in-store or order online for curbside pickup. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Follow ESPN 1410 Wing AM on Facebook to watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Listen, stream, and now watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. It's the ESPN Dayton hashtag We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. Be listening every hour for the word that wins and enter it at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Browns and Steelers coming up. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. We're going to go through it now with the Browns here in just a second. Back to the Facebook feed. Charles Tackett says, this year in the offseason, the Bengals focused on the defense. This coming offseason, they will focus on the O-line. Just hope Burrow can survive this year. But, Charles, that's the flawed thinking right there. That, the Browns are going to they focus on the defense this year. Don't worry about the offensive line later. That just shows you how dumb the organization is. You don't focus on the offensive line later when you're about to draft your franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow. So I definitely understand what you're saying is, yes, that is what they did, but it was the wrong decision. And Suafilo was not good. I don't think he was going to make that much of a difference. Joe Burrow's been sacked 22 times. Suafilo is healthy and plays. So maybe he's sacked 19 times. That's still second most in the NFL. So I'm not going to buy into everyone saying, oh, well, they did. It just didn't work out. They don't have a scouting department. They don't scout. So no wonder they're having so many busts in their draft picks. They don't scout. They don't go do. Anyways, switching gears here. 457-9464. That's the number to call in and join in on the conversation. Matt Sturgeon says, Justin, I have the Steelers to cover the spread easily. He says easily. As far as that, still nowhere like Baker Mayfield. There's a lot of talks of him potentially not being 100% come up for Sunday. And Baker Mayfield makes me uncomfortable when he's 100% healthy. So I really don't know how to feel about that as far as that's concerned. I do worry that the first time that we get to see Case Keenum run this offense, again, if this offense is not requiring perfect quarterback play, then I think Case Keenum can play not perfect quarterback better than Baker Mayfield can. Case Keenum's not great, but I think he might be a step above Baker Mayfield as far as maybe smarter decisions with the football at this point. I don't know. All I know is if I'm Baker Mayfield, you do everything you can to play. Because the second Case Keenum steps foot out on that field, if that offense just looks remotely more explosive, an offense that already averages 32 points a game, that's all I got to say. Is I think that this offense right now is with them averaging 32 points a game. It's the most in the NFC, the most in the AFC, second in the NFL, only behind the Seahawks at this point. So all I'm saying is at this point, Baker Mayfield, you better do everything you can to remain out on that football field. Which, to his credit, he's a durable quarterback. He doesn't miss games. This would be the first game he would miss, and I don't even think right now he's going to. But there are a lot of concerns that could be the case come Sunday.
He's playing. One thing about Baker Mayfield is he's tough. He's going to be out there playing. Now, if he finishes games, that's one thing. That's a different thing. He's going to start this game. If he's going to play well, we're going to see. Is he going to finish? We're going to see. But one thing for sure, he's going to be out there.
Doug Toby says, yes, scouting is a big part of it. Plus, Coach Taylor did not have a good group of coaches to select from. Guys, I could, if I made a list of all the excuses on here, it would be a mile long, and all the excuses sum up that the Bengals are not a good organization. And Doug, you're not wrong. I'm definitely not saying you're wrong. I'm just laughing because I have 5 different people coming at me with 5 different things as to why all of a sudden they're not good this year. And I'm like, but that you put all those pieces on paper, and it all sums up to the organization not being good. He hasn't been in the league long enough to get coaches. Then that means he shouldn't have been a head coach. Zach Taylor has no business being a head coach. If he hasn't been in the league long enough to have enough connections to put a good coaching staff together, then he should not have been your head coach. Oh, but Mike Brown, as Jay Morrison said, Mike Brown, they loved the way, they loved the things he said in the draft. Great. What'd he say? I'm going to work hard. I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to work 110% every day. Mike Brown's like, well, by golly, I think we got a winner here. Seriously. If all these things are true, that he doesn't have enough connections to form a good, coaching staff together, he shouldn't have been your guy from the get. 7 defensive coordinators turned him down from the get-go. That's another sign right there that he's not your guy. Anyways, I keep saying I'm done, but I'm waiting. I keep getting roped back in. I can't help it. It's bad. I know. I need to stop. Can't do it, though. All right, let's go 3 and out. with the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Bengals. Justin Kinner and Kev Nash go 3 and out.
All right, so we're going to start with the Cleveland Browns, going 3 and out with the Cleveland Browns. Browns-Steelers, 1 o'clock, the kickoff coming up on Sunday. Just a couple little side notes about this matchup. Again, the Cleveland Browns have lost 16 straight matchups at Heinz Field. They don't win there. They don't win there. Big Ben, he has quite the success against the Cleveland Browns as far as that's concerned. Big Ben's first career game. Do you remember his first career game against the Cleveland Browns?
No.
His first career game against the Browns came on October 10th, 2004.
Long time ago.
A long time ago. That's 16 years ago. Holy smokes, he has been around. 16 to 20. I mean, Jerome Bettis was the running back for the Steelers in that game, and Deuce Staley, and so I'm just saying, that was 16 years. That sounds like 16 years ago.
Guys have retired and been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Deuce Staley's now coach for Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, it's been a minute.
He completed 16 of 21 passes for 231 yards, a touchdown, and an interception.
Game manager style.
Yeah. So Big Ben's record against the Browns, 23-2-1. And, of course, when I saw that tweeted out today, I saw Steelers say, 2?
Yeah.
He lost 2? Yes, he did lose 2. Baker Mayfield's record against the Steelers team, 1-2, has 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. Hasn't played horribly as far as that's concerned. But we will see. This is going to be a fun matchup because it's really not just about the quarterbacks. It's about everything else outside of the quarterbacks is concerned. 3 and out. Here's my 3 reasons why the Cleveland Browns they're going to win coming up on Sunday. They have to win. They have to establish the run early. It's going to be difficult. The Steelers have the number 1 run defense in the NFL, but they have the number 1 run defense in the NFL, but they have only played, this sounds like a very generic excuse, but hear me out. They've only played the Broncos, the Giants, Texans, and Eagles. Forget who they've played. Let's look at the running games for those 4 teams. You look at the Broncos, they have the worst running game in the National Football League. So the Steelers are getting credit for that. The Giants have the second to worst rushing attack in the National Football League. The Texans have the 28th best rushing attack in the National Football League. And the best running team that they faced this year is the Eagles, coming in at number 17. So, yes, the Steelers have the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL, but they have played the worst of the worst. Not only is this the best rushing team that they've played all year, this is the best rushing team that they will play all year in the Cleveland Browns. That right there, to pace the offense, to really put the pressure on the Steelers defense right there, is why I think the Browns have a good chance of winning coming up on Sunday. The Browns, the pass rush, it must be big on Big Ben all afternoon. The Browns have 12 sacks on the season. That's 3rd in the league. And they have 12 sacks on the season, and they're 3rd in the league in hurries. I'm not big on their defense, but I love their pass rush. And that's going to be one thing that Big Ben has not faced this year. He's also faced some of the worst pass rushing defenses in the NFL. He's been comfortable, which there is no better way for him to ease back into after missing a whole season due to injury than to have time in the pocket to get his legs back and to get comfortable. This is going to be the first week that we have seen him really become tested as far as that goes. You look at the Steelers. They're going to be without guard David DeCastro. Kevin Dotson probably going to start in place of him. Marquise Pouncey did return to practice this past Thursday, so the Steelers have that going for them. What looked to be a beaten-up offensive line, they might just be without one of their offensive linemen, which, of course, apparently in Bengals country is good enough to make an excuse for the entire season. So the Steelers have that going for them as far as that's concerned. Myles Garrett has to be a big deal in this game. Now, I don't care about last year's game. That Steelers team, it's not the same Steelers team. That Browns team, this isn't the same Browns team. Both teams have, put last year in the past, and it's all about full steam ahead this year's playoffs. Both teams really, ramping up and gearing up for that. Myles Garrett, 2nd in the league with 6 sacks. He only trails Aaron Donald, Kev, and he's 3rd in hurries, only trails Donald and TJ Watt, coincidentally, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So as far as I'm concerned, the pass rush, the pressure on Big Ben, that has to be key all afternoon if you are the Cleveland Browns. And my 3rd reason for why I believe that they have a chance to win on Sunday, they have to win the turnover battle. And they lead the league in forced turnovers. They forced 6 interceptions, 6 fumbles to lead the league, and they're +6 in that turnover ratio as far as that goes. They have to continue to force Big Ben to play outside of his comfort zone, and I think that's going to be one of their biggest keys to this weekend coming up around the corner. So that's my biggest thing, is establishing the run early, establishing that the Steelers, I heard Stephen A. Smith say, they're not going to run on them. It's the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL. they've played literally the 3 worst rushing teams in the NFL. The best one they've played to this point is 17th in the Eagles. Trust me, they haven't. So to brag about that, you haven't. It's like the Cincinnati Bearcats approach. Oh, look, they're number 4 in defense. They've played no one but the American Conference. Of course, they're number 4 in defense. Play the Big Ten, and Rutgers will make you look like a bad defensive team if you're Cincinnati. Anyways, maybe that's a little harsh. Maybe not Rutgers. Maybe Iowa. Yeah, let's use Iowa. Iowa's a little bit more fair. That's why I believe they're going to win. You're up. I'll give you why I think they'll lose here in a minute.
Okay. Reason is I think the Browns can win this game. I know it's not a sexy position. We don't go by these jerseys. We don't talk about these guys unless they're playing terrible. But the offensive line for the Browns has been dominant. For them to win this game, they have to continue to be dominant. You know, everybody's talking about Nick Chubb is out. Well, guess what? They plug in Hunt. He's still balling. You know, plug in a guy that was playing in the XFL. He's balling. So the offensive line is the key for the Browns to win this game. Number 2, Myles Garrett needs to continue to be in the MVP conversation. People that don't believe he's in the MVP conversation, something's wrong with you. He's been dominant on the defensive line. He's been causing havoc. He has strip sacks. He has forced sacks. He's just doing everything. Outside of Aaron Donald, he's the most dominant defensive lineman in the NFL. Number 1 for me, splash plays in the passing game. I did rewatch the Philadelphia game. A receiver that I've never heard of, doesn't mean he's not any good, but I never heard of him. He ate the Steelers' lunch. He went for over $120. OBJ can do that. Landry can do that. Hooper can do that. Hollywood Higgins can do half of that. So splash plays in the passing game is how the Browns can win this game.
A couple other things I jotted down for the game this week that I thought were interesting, just kind of looking around. Protecting Baker Mayfield is going to be key because the one thing about Baker is he is yet to really be pressured this year. And a lot of that is not because teams haven't tried. It's because, it's not because the teams haven't tried. It's because that offensive line has just been so dominant. They've given him time. In fact, the 2 quarterbacks that have had the longest amount of time in the pocket, right? We talk about how Baker Mayfield kind of extends plays and stuff. Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson, they are number 1. They are tied for number 1 in having the most amount of time in the pocket. They average 2.7 seconds, which doesn't sound long, but that's the 2 longest average amount of times in the pocket from the time the ball is snapped until the ball is released or the pocket collapses. Russell Wilson and Baker Mayfield have the 2 best offensive lines as far as having time to make plays in the pocket. So there you go. And Ron Howard, he's chiming in. He says, once again, you're wrong. Tampa Bay has the best rushing D in the league. Pitt second. No, Ron, I have the stats right in front of me, literally right here. I can read. Okay, it says Pittsburgh number 1, Tampa number 2. So there you go. I just wanted to clarify as far as that goes. The Browns also lead the league in yak. It's all about that yak. Yakety yak. Don't talk back, Ron. Yakety yak. Yards after the catch. 564 yards after contact. How about that? That 500. By the way, that's almost 200 plus more yards than the next team behind them. So, I mean, that's that. They have guys that are extending plays, and that's always key. All right, so I told you why I think that the Browns can win. Now let's talk about why I think that the Browns are going to lose, and I think that there's a lot going on this weekend that could lead to this, Kev. For one, the Browns' defense versus the pass is one of the worst in the National Football League. Now, to be fair, Pittsburgh passing-wise, they're a mid-tier team. They haven't been blowing teams up with the passing game. But Big Ben is smart with the ball. He can carve you up. He's very, you know what I mean? Like, so it's not that they're a bad passing team. They're just not an explosive passing team. However, Cleveland has they have a habit of making quarterbacks looking like they're, on their way to winning an MVP. Big Ben is very capable of doing that. I will say this, though. They are tied with the Cowboys, giving up the 3rd most passing touchdowns with 12 on the year. The Browns and the Cowboys lead the league in passing touchdowns given up on the year. So I think that's where Pittsburgh can really kind of, extend their offense. I mean, we know what they could do running the ball, but really kind of being more well-balanced as far as that's concerned. My other concern is earlier I said, how will Baker play against the blitz? He has only been blitzed 60 times this year, which surprised me because I thought for sure, Kev, that we would see teams knowing how chaotic he plays, knowing how he forces a lot of bad, throws. He led, one of the top guys in interceptions last year. Don't worry, Ron, I didn't forget that one. Your guy led the league in interceptions last year. Not that guy. He's figuring out how down it is. ESPN's 30 for 30. But teams haven't blitzed him. The Steelers are going to blitz him. They're going to put pressure on him. And I worry that, we saw Baker last week when they really put the ball in his hands. hands and gave him a chance to make plays, he really struggled. And that's my concern. So if Pittsburgh does really continue to pick up and send the blitz towards him, how is he going to respond? How is he going to make plays? That's, kind of where I'm at with that as far as I'm concerned. But if the Steelers, the best blitzing team in the NFL, put pressure on him all night, will we see a different Baker Mayfield confidence-wise? I think we will. I really do think we will. Here's another takeaway I had, Kev. The Browns in the play action. Remember when they hired Kevin Stefanski? All we heard was, oh, man, Baker's just he's going to take off the play action. Mm-hmm. You know that he's like 12th in the league in play action attempts. They don't utilize the play action. All we heard was how Kevin Stefanski, that's his offense, it was going to be all about the play action. They don't utilize the play action. Now, maybe that's something that they are saving for later in the year. You know what I mean? You don't come out firing right away. I don't know, but I am surprised at how little we've seen that play action. So maybe that's something we see against Pittsburgh this week, or maybe it's just something that he's not as good at that they've seen in practices, which is why they haven't implemented it in the game. So we shall see. And then here's where I close it out. 5 of the last 7. This is my third reason why the Browns lose on Sunday. 5 of the last 7 matchups between the Browns and Steelers, Kevin. He hasn't been around for all of them, but we know that the Browns and Steelers, it's going to be close. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be tight. It's going to come down to the end of that fourth quarter. 5 of the last 7 Steelers-Browns matchups have all ended in a one-possession game or a tie. Only 2 blowouts in the last 7 games. The Browns didn't really blow out the Steelers. It was that 21-7 win last year, and then the Steelers have a 31-10 win in that mix as well over the last 7 games. 5 of the last 7 come down to one possession. It comes down to the final quarter. Baker has been atrocious as far as that's concerned in the fourth quarter. Baker's going to be playing in a close game. He is going to have a drive that is going to have the game on the line. How is he going to respond? In the first quarter, he has had 42 pass attempts, completing 69% of those passes. In the second quarter, he's only completed 64% of his 59 passes. In the third quarter, it drops down to 57% of his 33 passes. He's only thrown 18 passes in the fourth quarter this year, Kev. He's only completed 38% of those. He gets worse, and most of his interceptions and turnovers have come late in the game, in the second half and in the fourth quarter. So if this game is close, one reason I believe they could lose is Baker time. He'll crumble under the pressure. That's my biggest concern as far as that goes.
Wow.
See, Bengals fans, I beat up on my team too. Get your panties all in a wad.
Wow. So here's my 3. The Steelers only giving up 64 rushing yards a game. If the Steelers defense can continue to put that type of pressure on on offenses by shutting their run game down, making them one-dimensional, it bodes well for the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game. Number 2 for me, Bud Dupree and TJ Watt. If you think that they're going to play action and roll Baker out, cut the field in half and stuff like that, you got another thing coming. You didn't see those same type of plays versus the Ravens because they have great edge setters as well as the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if Bud Dupree gets his hands on Baker, if TJ Watt gets his hands on him, we might be seeing Case Keenum. And number 1, and the biggest reason, Big Ben's back. And Big Ben's got toys. Big Ben has James Washington. He has Juju. He has Deontay Johnson and a new guy, Claypool. He's got weapons. You may not think that the big plays are there or like the big yardage plays, but the efficiency that they're playing with, he's basically going 20 for 25 like his old days, like his rookie days when he was throwing underneath routes to Hines Ward and taking deep shots. That's how they're playing now. They're playing a lot of safe crossing routes and stuff like that. And when the deep ball presents itself, he's going to Claypool or Deontay Johnson. So we know how bad the Browns secondary is, especially at safety. When you have 4 receivers like that, eventually a safety is going to have to guard one of them. And that's all it is, trying to get that matchup with Sandejo. And I believe the Steelers can do that.
Steelers, one of the worst passing teams in the league, bottom 10. So I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree. I'm not making it up. I'm not Ron here. I'm looking right at it. I'm just saying. Okay. I call it how I see it. And how I see it is, according to the stat, total yards only 1,500 passing yards on the year.
I just told you that. They're not throwing it all over the place.
You made it sound like it's the Kansas City Chiefs. So
I didn't say that.
Big plays.
I did not say that.
Huge playmaking ability. Huge.
I literally did not say that. I just said they're not passing it for 300 yards a game. I just said he has weapons, and they find the matchup, and they go to that matchup. They're throwing underneath crossing routes.
You just said that. No, that's what I said. He's not very fast. He's not very fast, but if you race him, he will run faster than you. That's
I just said they throw a lot of underneath crossing routes. And then they find the matchup like they did last week with Philadelphia for big plays.
At the end of the day, the Browns.
I just said that.
The Steelers.
You're not gonna misquote me. I literally just said that. You just made up something I didn't say.
You tried making these
I just
sound
said
like
they ran
the field up.
I just said they don't throw. He's playing like he did in his younger days, throwing 20 to 25 passes a game, throwing crossing routes, and then finding the matchups for the touchdown. I just said that. And then you try to make it say that, he's not throwing it all over the place.
It sound like they're so explosive. Like
I did not say that. I did not say that. I just said he's throwing 20 to 25 passes a game.
Talk about the Browns secondary. They're going to be punching the ball out, forcing fumbles, interception. I can't wait for Sunday.
You literally tried to change what I said.
I did not. I repeated what you said.
No, you tried to enhance it.
You try to spice it up like, oh, man, they're just going to tear it up. They're just going to, crisscross.
I said they throw underneath routes. And he's throwing 20 to 25 passes a game like he did in his younger days. And they find a matchup to score the touchdown. That's exactly what I said.
This offense ain't that good. It's not that good. It's not that good.
I didn't say that. You're arguing with yourself.
Average offensively.
You're arguing with yourself.
Browns are winning on Sunday. Forget everything I said about why they'll lose. Those are words of concern.
Put something on it.
I am putting my voice on it. My voice says the Browns are going to kick the Steelers' ass coming up on Sunday.
Okay.
It's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow for Steelers fans that this Browns team is better than their team this year, and it's a hard pill. We got the number one rushing defense. You've played the two worst rushing teams in football, the third or the fourth to worst rushing team in football. We're gonna take Kareem Hunt away. No, you ain't.
We'll see on Sunday.
We will see on Sunday.
You want to argue. I don't know why you want to argue with me.
I'm not trying to argue. I'm stating my opinion.
What's the phone number?
457-9464.
Is Kenner trying to argue with Nash?
I'm not trying. No. I'm giving my opinion.
No. You are trying to make an argument.
You give your opinion. Steelers fans out there, see what you're doing is you're deflecting. You're doing.
I'm not deflecting.
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Like, no. I don't care. Okay, we'll see on Sunday.
No.
If you had confidence,
I do care.
I do care. You would be talking smack.
No, I never. When have you heard me talk trash?
That's the last team you had to talk trash about.
I'm not a trash talker.
If this was a good Pittsburgh team,
I'm not a trash talker. I've never talked trash. You don't have a reason to. I've never talked trash.
Have a reason to. Cleveland over. Score prediction. I got
a score prediction 28-24 Steelers. Ha! I don't even talk trash.
How are you
Ohio State versus Michigan? I'm not a trash talker. I don't.
They average more points than anyone in the AFC. You're gonna hold them to 24 points.
Okay. So what's your score prediction?
35-24 Browns.
Okay. We'll see. Because guess what? I don't play.
No. We'll see.
I don't play. I don't play. I'm just a fan.
So then we won't ever talk about games because we'll see.
We'll see.
All right. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny, a high near 56. Tonight will also be clear, but with patchy frost, a low around 30. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 62. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
Ohio, wake up to what our lawmakers are up to. Bribery indictment of the former House Speaker, the majority cutting funds for schools and health care during the pandemic, huge tax breaks for millionaires while ignoring medical experts, and how COVID-19 impacts our jobs, health, schools, and local businesses. It's time for a change. I will fight for hardworking families. My name is Erin Rosiello, candidate for State House District 62 in Warren County, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Erin Rosiello, at your service. Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for a pivotal role at her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology identifies the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Monica did, and that's how she found Lamont, her new project superintendent.
The job is so perfect for me. I had a career breakthrough. I would have never found this job if it wasn't for ZipRecruiter.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists. With ZipRecruiter, we get hiring results.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian, but thought it would be too difficult and time-consuming? Then go to Babbel.com and try it for free. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. In 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then, sentences gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel is created by language experts who use the spaced repetition method to help you learn quickly and remember what you learned. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com, Babbel.com.
Do you have foot pain? Did you know foot pain is not normal, regardless of your age, activities, or job? Podiatric physicians are the most qualified doctors to care for your feet based on their education, training, and experience. Your podiatrist can provide you with important foot care solutions like shoe inserts, so you're able to better manage foot pain. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association members are bound by the highest ethical standards and have access to superior ongoing medical education and resources. Ask if your podiatrist is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association so you know you are being treated by the very best. After all, we've been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years. To find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from The Justin Kinner Show, and I wanted to take some time to tell you about my great experiences with CertaPro Painters. That's right, my experiences, as in more than one. I have had CertaPro Painters complete quite a few painting projects for me over the years, and every time they knock it out of the park, whether it was the Ohio State-themed office with the Buckeye stripe wrapped around the room, or when they painted my entire house before move-in day, I could not believe that they knocked out our entire house in just one day. CertaPro Painters knows how to get the job done right, and most importantly, safely during these times. They deliver what they promise. They show up on time, they get the job done right and on budget. Whether it is residential or commercial, interior or exterior, CertaPro Painters will take care of you from the first initial free estimate all the way up to the final brush of paint on your project. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They are a local business that you can support. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
You may meet in an office or on a video chat. Your commute might now be measured in feet, not miles. How you do business may have changed, but Staples will always have everything you need, like ink and toner, webcams, and networking accessories. Right now, earn 40% back in rewards when you buy any 2 ink or toner cartridges. Shop in-store, online, or pick up curbside. And save big at Staples. Ends 10/17. While supplies last. Exclusions apply. For details, visit staples.com/40 in rewards. Curbside available in most stores.
Find the high-impact hire your business needs fast on Indeed. No long-term contracts and lots of great candidates at Indeed.com/high-impact.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are outliers. You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say. For facts, though. I got your facts right here.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook to follow along. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kinner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
Back to the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, Buckeye fans, this Monday at the Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken in Inglewood, College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers is taking his show on the road. The Keith Byers Show, Mondays from noon to 1. He's taking it on the road at the Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken in Inglewood. So if you want a chance to go out and meet Keith Byers and be a part of the show, head out there. Again, it's the Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken in Inglewood, 12 to 1. He'll be out there earlier than that again. So going out there, if you haven't made lunch plans yet on Monday, make sure that is your stop. Again, taking the show on the road to kick off the week that is the kickoff to the kickoff of the Buckeyes 2020 college football season. So the 2020 college football season for at least the Buckeyes is finally here. But what a college football Saturday we have coming up. Unfortunately, no Florida LSU. I will say this, though. That matchup lost a little bit of its luster with Florida losing last weekend and LSU just not being – I mean, that matchup looks sexier on paper 3 weeks ago. And then it was okay 2 weeks ago. And then a week ago, it was like, okay, that'll be okay because Florida's still, fighting for – and then Florida loses. And now it's like, Florida LSU looks good on paper, but right now those two teams, there's no college football playoff hopes for either. Florida has a higher chance, but again, I highly doubt that at this point. There's way too many teams fighting for 4 spots, and Florida's lost. And you'd have to think, just knowing Florida, they have another loss coming up around the corner at some point. It could potentially be this LSU game, even though it would be potentially at home. And Mullen wanted 90,000 fans in attendance for it, but they'll make that game up later. Yesterday, we talked about it. We'll get back into it in hour 3. My biggest concern for the Big Ten and the Buckeyes, they have 0 makeup dates at the end of this season. I mean, the second that they kick off a week from Saturday, it's a sprint to the finish line. There is no opportunities to make games up. You're only playing 8 games. The college football playoff, when they look at resumes, I think the amount of games you play is going to matter. And the Big Ten's already behind everybody else with the amount of games played. I mean, Alabama, everyone else, they're 4 or 5 games into this season before Ohio State even kicks off their first one. So if Ohio State runs into a situation like Florida and LSU did, and they have to make a game up at the end of the year, well, they can't, because the time that the Buckeyes and the Big Ten kick off, it's going to walk you right up to that selection show, and there's just no time to make games up. And sure, we can say all the things, the selection show needs to move it back. Well, maybe, but as of right now, that's not the case. And they've already moved it back on quite a few occasions. So I just don't see, I mean, again, if you're the college football playoff and you want your moneymakers in there, of course, but the college football playoff is probably saying too, well, if we have a chance to start the playoff on time, we've survived it with that Ohio State before, we could potentially do it again. My point is, Ohio State, only 7 games potentially. If they run into a situation like LSU, Florida, I don't know how you can get into the playoff with only 7 games played, even if it's 7-0. I don't get how you get into the college football playoff with only 7 wins, only 7 games, while everyone else is playing 10-11. I think that's very far-fetched as far as that goes. So we will dive more into that coming up later on in the show. We went 3-and-out with the Browns. Let's go 3-and-out with your Cincinnati Bengals.
Browns, Bengals, Justin Kinner and Kev Nash go 3-and-out.
All right, 3 reasons why I believe the Bengals will win. How about this one right off the bat? Phillip Rivers. Look, Phillip Rivers just has not been Phillip Rivers. You've been on that since the offseason. Phillip Rivers has been rocked. Phillip Rivers just doesn't look as confident. I've heard a lot this week about the Colts' future at quarterback and what they potentially plan to do. You sent me a link today that the potential trade targets at the deadline, and one of the Colts' trade targets potentially could be, again, I don't know how much legs are to this, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold from the Jets. If the Jets are really in full-on tank mode to potentially go get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, that could make a lot of sense for the Colts, although I still think that's a gamble because you really don't know who Sam Darnold is, but that's a conversation for later. Phillip Rivers, he's not looked good over the last couple of weeks, and if his confidence is rocked, that could, that's going to leave a lot of hesitancy towards that Colts offense and that Bengals defense, who, again, not even close to being one of the best defenses in the league. They are much improved from last year, even with the injuries that they've sustained. DJ Reader out for the year. That's a big blow, but we'll see. I think that the confidence of Phillip Rivers could lead, the lack of confidence from Phillip Rivers after the way he struggled the last couple of weeks could potentially lead to the Bengals capitalizing on that. Jay Morrison said this earlier. He talked about the Colts. They're just not a blitzing team. The one reason that it's hard for me to buy into Joe Burrow and criticize Joe Burrow is I don't think, like when people are like, oh, Joe Burrow looks great. I have no clue how you can tell that a quarterback looks great when he lives on his ass. He lives on the ground. So because he gets back up and he shakes it off, that's great. All right, but this isn't a Taylor Swift song. This is a simple matter of, can he play football? And we don't know if he can play football because he's constantly running for his life. We did get to see him play one really good game against the Jaguars, and that's because he had time in the pocket. I think he's going to have time in the pocket against the Colts, but the big thing I'm going to be keeping an eye out on is how does he read the defenses, because that's where the Colts really get you. The Colts are a really good turnover team. They're going to force a lot of turnovers, and they do that without putting pressure on the quarterback. So we're going to learn a lot about Joe Burrow as far as that's concerned coming up this weekend. And the third reason why I believe that the Bengals are going to win this week, I think they got smacked around by the Ravens last week, and I think they want to get that taste out of their mouth. I think they want to try to come back with a positive game. They're going to come out with confidence. They're going to put that Ravens game behind them. Those are my three reasons why I believe the Bengals could potentially come away with the win against the Colts coming up on Sunday.
All right, for me, it's all about the Bengals defense stopping the run. They need to load the box and stop that run. Stop Jonathan Taylor. Stop them from running the ball. Colts have a pretty good offensive line. Stop the run, because you know why? When you stop the run, that means Phillip Rivers have to pass, which leads me to number 2. Catch the interceptions that he's going to throw you. He's going to give you a chance to catch 2 interceptions a game. Catch them, for goodness sakes. Be it a linebacker, be it a DB, be it a defensive tackle, for goodness sakes. He's going to hit somebody on the defense right in the hands. All you got to do is catch it. And number 1, Joe Mixon. We saw Kareem Hunt catch a touchdown pass with the Browns last week, lined up out wide. Those same skill sets that Kareem Hunt has, Joe Mixon has. Let's continue to get Joe Mixon involved in the passing game. Right now, we know we love Joey B and all that type of stuff, but playmaker, Joe Mixon's the playmaker. He's the one moving the chains. Give him the ball. I don't care. I'm almost like you, Kenner. Give him smart. Give him 2 or 30 times a game, 35 times a game. And that doesn't necessarily mean just running the ball, swing passes, line him up out wide, get him the ball a ton. Joe Mixon, it's all about you this game.
All right, those are our 3 reasons why we believe the Bengals can win on Sunday. Now moving on to 3 reasons why we believe they're vulnerable enough to lose. And we're going 3 and out with your Cincinnati Bengals. Here's why. The Colts are one of the best teams at forcing turnovers. They have forced 9 on the season, and Burrow has to be careful that he doesn't, have force throws it onto. That's what the Colts do. They caught Baker in that a few times last week, where they leave lanes open, making quarterbacks believe that they have an angle, and then they're very good at pursuing the ball. And that's the one thing that Joe Burrow is going to have to be careful of, because as we talked about earlier, the Colts, they're not a pass rushing team. They're not going to send a lot of pressure on the blitz. That's going to give Joe Burrow a little bit more time to throw. But they are very dangerous in their secondary are the Colts. We saw that last week against the Browns, and I think that that's going to make the Bengals vulnerable to that. So I think we're going to see a game where you get to see a little bit more of Joe Burrow being comfortable in the pocket, but I think he's really going to be challenged as far as reading the defense and what the defense allows him to have. So he's really going to have to trust trust his receivers. We're going to see if that relationship, that chemistry that he's been able to build between him and T. Higgins and Boyd, that's going to play a big role come up on Sunday. But I believe that's going to leave him vulnerable. Again, a rookie going up against that secondary, I think it's going to be difficult. Joe Mixon, as you talked about, is going to be key. The Colts, though, the Colts are going to take the running game away. They're one of the top teams against the rush in the National Football League. They're fourth against the rush in the NFL, and they stuff you at the line. The Browns have the best rushing attack in the NFL, and they stuffed the offense, or they stuffed the run game for the Browns. They had 124 total yards rushing. Kareem Hunt did not look comfortable. 124 yards, it's not a lot. It's not a bad game for most teams, but that's a bad game for the Browns, who have just been running it down teams' throats all year. It did not come easy for them. And look at that offensive line they have, and look at the horses they have in the backfield. The Bengals don't have that. So they're going to be already behind as far as that goes. They're really going to have their work cut out for them. So I know what you're saying about getting Joe Mixon involved, but when the Colts take Joe Mixon away, that's going to leave Joe Burrow trying to make plays, and that hasn't boded well for him all season. So that's my biggest concern as far as that goes.
For me, it's as simple as this. Justin Houston, if he hits Joe Burrow the way he hit Baker last week, you might be right again. You might be right.
I am used to it.
So chip him, block him with an extra tight end, double team him. Keep Justin Houston off your franchise quarterback, for goodness sakes. Number two. The number one guys for the Colts, Mo Alley Cox, their tight end. Darius Leonard, are they going to play? Question mark. We talked to Jay Morrison earlier. The question mark still is out there for those playmakers on the Colts. If they do play, it might be bad for the Bengals. And the number one reason the Bengals could lose is how much practicing has the Colts got in? Have they pulled a Tennessee Titans? Have they gone to a local high school in Indianapolis and got some practice?
They got a leader at quarterback. They follow the rules.
So we don't know how much practice time they got in. So if the practice time that they did get in was good, the Colts can win this game over the Bengals, unfortunately.
About Mo Alley Cox, that's a name right there. We get to see him play at UD Arena quite a lot with VCU.
Yes, sir.
Very good college basketball player, and you could just tell the presence he had on the basketball floor. You just knew that's a football player right there. And it was crazy to see him go on and have the success that he did in college or in the pros right now with the Colts. I mean, good for him as far as that goes. And that is our 3 and outs with your Cleveland Browns and your Cincinnati Bengals as far as that goes. So interesting nonetheless. 2 weeks ago, we got to talk about the Browns and the Bengals getting a win for the first time at the same time in quite some time. And then last week, the Browns get a win. The Bengals get beat by the Ravens. I think we're going to have another split. Browns beat the Steelers this week. Bengals lose to the Colts. So there you go. Oh, what? You think the Bengals are going to win?
Yeah, I picked the Bengals. I picked the Bengals yesterday.
Why would you do that?
Picked the Bengals yesterday, for sure.
Well, you also picked the Steelers, so I could tell how you're.
They're going to catch the interceptions.
Yeah.
So you keep bringing up the things that I quote unquote got wrong, but you keep jumping over the fact that I said that Phillip Rivers was done 2 years ago, and it's looking like he's toast.
Oh, you mean a 37-year-old quarterback not playing well? That's your hot take that he's not good?
Tom Brady, he's 100. He's still balling.
Tom Brady, you can't compare Phillip Rivers.
Hey, no. He's older than him, and he's balling.
Nope.
What's up, Ron?
I think Ron checked out. He's checking his stats to see which one he was looking at because he was wrong earlier.
4, 5, 6. We don't.
Yeah. See, Ron, you are like Tom Brady. But he said, by the way, Ron says the reason number 4 that the Browns are going to lose, Garrett has a contract on his ass. I think you mean bounty, but yeah, I mean, they're going to be going after Garrett. But I mean, there's only so much you could do to an offensive lineman, right? Like, I mean, you can go after. You could do the gator roll. You could do a lot of. I mean, they might be looking for that. As long as he doesn't run up the sideline by Mike Tomlin, I think he'll be okay. I mean, cheap shots. And by the way, I've never seen a coach do. There was that time that Buckeye coach punched a player. That was classless. But the other classless coaching move I've seen is Mike Tomlin tripping someone on the sideline.
He didn't trip him.
He tripped him.
He didn't trip him. He missed him. It's an attempt. Sure.
Oh, okay.
You missed him.
Okay.
You missed.
I didn't throw it at you. I missed.
You missed. It's all good.
All right, folks. So when we come back, the most likely playoff pairings for college football. So get this. So they gave a percentage. to each conference. The highest percentage of two teams from from the same conference making playoff. The SEC has the highest. The Big Ten has the second highest, but it's not the two teams from the Big Ten that you would expect to make the college football playoff, as crazy as this sounds. So, 25% of this poll right here has Alabama and Georgia making the college football playoff. That's the highest of any of the other duos out of the conferences. The Big Ten comes in at second, and it's not the duo you would expect. I'll tell you who that duo is when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Trick or treat.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Remember being in your favorite sport clips, getting set for that great MVP haircut experience? Yeah, how about if we made that wait even shorter? Now, with Sport Clips On Deck text alerts, when you check in online or with our app, we'll text you a 15-minute heads up when it's time to head in. And when you're the next man up, you'll get another text to come take your seat. Less wait time, more prime time. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Picking up an online order? No problem. It'll just be a moment. You know, we've got more convenient ways to shop besides our same-day store pickup. You can also shop from your car with our free curbside pickup. Or you can even shop completely from home with our free next-day delivery. Just order by 10 p.m. on AutoZone.com. Getting the job done just got easier. Free next-day delivery on eligible orders. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what covering your bases is in baseball, right? Making sure you have no holes in your defense. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. And you'll pay up to 50% less than big carriers and still use their same networks. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data and 2G. No contract, no mystery fees. Fully covering your bases for 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
This is Wright Thompson. My new podcast, Bloodlines, the first in the ESPN Investigates podcast series, is available now. Bloodline starts with the tragic story of dead horses at Santa Anita and then examines the state of thoroughbred horse racing while taking you on hopefully an unforgettable journey about the past, present, and future of this once hallowed sport. Listen now to all 3 episodes of Bloodlines on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Picking up an online order? No problem. It'll just be a moment. You know, we've got more convenient ways to shop besides our same-day store pickup. You can also shop from your car with our free curbside pickup. Or you can even shop completely from home with our free next-day delivery. Just order by 10 p.m. on AutoZone.com. Getting the job done just got easier. Free next-day delivery on eligible orders. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Where is your haircut gone? We know you don't get out as much. You don't drive by your regular sport clips and pop in for that MVP haircut experience that is so much more than a haircut. But isn't it worth getting out for? For that legendary hot steam towel for your face, massaging shampoo that makes you melt into your seat. Oh man, you remember that, right? We found your haircut. It's right where you left it. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They are now hiring. They have brand new home daily dedicated lanes. You can earn up to $270 per day and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Medical, dental, vision insurance, along with company-paid life insurance. Outstanding brand new equipment, no-touch freight. You must have a Class A CDL, less than 6 points on your license. To apply, call Cody 937-277-7271 or apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
At Encova Insurance, we're committed to leaving a lasting impression in all communities we serve. We support local causes that mirror the values and interests of our associates, agents, and policyholders. We partner with organizations that are dedicated to improving lives. We are committed to building something greater than ourselves, encircling our communities with strength and support. We are Encova Insurance. Learn more at Encova.com.
John McManus is running hard to be our Montgomery County treasurer. Montgomery County is already one of the highest tax counties in the state. It seems like every day we're being told to pay higher and higher taxes. Now, in the middle of a pandemic, we're told to get ready for another tax increase next year. When John McManus was vice president of the largest school board in Montgomery County, he fought against property tax increases. As our next county treasurer, he'll stand with us again. This November, vote John McManus for Montgomery County treasurer.
I'm John McManus, and I approve this message.
Interested in helping Dayton students succeed? Don't miss the Dayton Public Schools Drive-Through Career Fair on Thursday, October 22nd between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at Welcome Stadium. Masks are required. See the full list of positions and apply now at DaytonPublic.com.
Roosters would like to thank all of our loyal guests and all the loyal Buckeye fans for your support this year. Because of you, we've been able to stay open and keep our award-winning team employed. Our team members go above and beyond and are dedicated to providing you and your family the safest dining experience possible while still providing a fun, casual atmosphere to relax, laugh, and enjoy our award-winning food. Roosters, the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Try Canada Dry Bold Ginger with an extra kick of real ginger taste that blow the butterscotch out of your grandma's bowl. Canada Dry Bold Ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
Buckeye fans, the season is finally here. No, for real this time. ESPN 1410 Wing AM is Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Join us for the season opener on Saturday, October 24th, when Ohio State welcomes in Nebraska. Every tackle, every touchdown, and every Buckeyes win. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
I'm actually not, I don't actually have the credentials to do that. So if you did win, you will see.
Justin Kidder back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Just a reminder for those who have won the Pro Football Pick'em presented by Frickers, all communication is done through email. Whatever email you have signed up with, that you have submitted your picks with, make sure you are checking that because all winners are contacted through that. I know we're getting some calls and people say they haven't been contacted. Everyone is being communicated with through the email that you submitted your picks with. So make sure you take advantage of that. Week 6 of the National Football League. There was no Thursday night football matchup last night. Everything kicks off coming up on Sunday. Head to wingam.com. Look for the Pro Football Pick'em Challenge there on the homepage. Submit your weekly picks. It doesn't matter if you haven't participated in previous weeks. Everything is done weekly. Whoever has the most picks selected correctly will win $25 in Frickers bucks. So make sure you take advantage of that. Again, the Pro Football Pick'em Challenge presented by Frickers. Submit your weekly picks before Sunday. And if you have won in previous weeks, check the email because I'm looking at the emails for the last 5 weeks that we are 4 weeks, 5th week, including the new email today. Everyone's been communicated with through the email that they participated and submitted their picks with. So just keep that in mind. Kev, it's interesting. I'm looking at this right now. The college football playoff chances, so right now, according to the All-State Playoff Predictor, the Big Ten has more has more duo opportunities than any other conference of getting 2 teams into the college football playoff. However, the SEC has the highest percentage with their one duo in Alabama and Georgia, 25%. That's the percentage of the chances that Alabama and Georgia have of making the college football playoff. I think that's going to come to fruition coming up this weekend. If Georgia wins 28-25, 32-20, or 31-28, it's a close game, an overtime game maybe. I think that's how you get away with the SEC getting 2 teams in the college football playoff at the end of the year. The Big Ten, Ohio, if you had to guess right now, the SEC is Alabama, the ACC is Clemson. The Big Ten is Ohio State. And then Georgia, Notre Dame, Penn State fighting it out for that 5th one, and I'm probably missing one. Maybe Cincinnati. You never know.
You never know. You never postpone.
Yeah. That's what we're gonna get. But they play in a smart conference. They have time to make it up at the end of the year. Not the Big Ten, of course. So it's really going to come down to that. So Alabama and Georgia have a 25% chance. But when you look at this, and if you're watching live on Facebook, Ohio State and Wisconsin have the 2nd highest percentage chance of potentially making keeping the college football playoff together out of one conference. I would have guessed Penn State and Ohio State to have that second highest chance, mainly because I love that Ohio State and Penn State play each other early, so that if Ohio State beats Penn State and Penn State runs the table and wins out and looks impressive doing so, that would give them a very good shot at making the playoff if they lose a close one to Ohio State. It's the kind of the same rule that I have with Alabama and Georgia. I'm very surprised that Ohio State and Wisconsin are deemed the two teams out of the Big Ten of being paired together, of having the best chance of a duo coming out of one conference.
This year is so wacky, man. In any other year, we would know Ohio State's opponent schedule.
Yeah,
we don't even remember Ohio State's schedule. All we know is that they play Nebraska next week, and then they close with Michigan, and then they got Penn State the second week of the season. I would know their schedule from top to bottom. I would know Michigan's schedule top to bottom. I would know all this stuff. This year of college football has been so raggedy. That's the only word I can think of. It's been raggedy. It's been put together with glue and duct tape. It's a ongoing situation. Everything's flexible. So I know you are a proponent of, hey man, get your games in, and if you can't get them in, tough luck. But I just think that everything needs to be flexible right about now, because we're being flexible as fans.
But the thing is, I don't think they need to be flexible with the Big Ten, because the Big Ten was their own worst enemy. The Big Ten screwed up, and they're not screwing up from a COVID. They screw up from a leadership perspective. And I'm not talking about Kevin Warren. Everyone wants to point at Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren is the mouthpiece for the leaders of the Big Ten schools. So it's their fault. It is the Big Ten university's fault. It's not Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren, his job is to speak for the majority of the university presidents, and at the time the majority spoke and said no football. So I'm tired of everyone beating up on Kevin Warren. It's just he's the easy target because he's the face of it, just like Goodell is, and it's different, but it's the same thing. It's different entities, but it's the same concept. You represent the university presidents. Obviously the commissioner of pro sports represents the team owners. That's what it comes down to. So I don't believe the college football playoff should forgive them or bend the rules for them. The one thing, though, I now see why Ohio State and Wisconsin, Kev, are the highest percentage chance of representing the Big Ten, two teams out. They don't play each other.
Wow.
They don't play each other. Wisconsin opens up against Illinois on the 23rd. They're at Nebraska. They have Purdue. Their toughest game is at Michigan. They have Northwestern, Indiana, Iowa, and Minnesota's supposed to be good. That could potentially be their toughest game. That could potentially be their toughest game.
Forgot about Minnesota.
So when
our receiver opted back in too.
Yeah. So they're going to have explosiveness on the offensive side. So the bottom line is if Wisconsin runs the table and Ohio State runs the table, you could see a scenario where you have Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. You never know. You never know. I mean, outside of that, Michigan State is the only other Big Ten school that's ever qualified for the college football playoff. So there's that.
This thing is a bleep show, man.
All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. Hour 3 coming up next. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash when we come back.